Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do an oil cooler on June. I believe it's 2019 Wrangler, and it's got the Pentastar 3.6 liter. And if you don't know, the oil cooler is actually also the oil filter housing. It goes down yonder way, and they always leak. This has got oil that leaks down in the valley, right down there yonder way, and then it runs, especially when it sits on a hill, kind of like it is now. It just runs back, hits top of the transmission, goes either side, and makes a giant mess on the ground underneath. So today we're going to address that. So we're going to pull the intake off, get down with the cooler, and while we're in there, we're going to do the spark plugs too, because, well, why not? You're there, it's got 90,000 miles, they're due. They are iridium, but they're due at 90. Come along. You're going to remove these two bolts. They're either 10 millimeter or I'm guessing a T30 Torx, which I could have used that, but I had a 10 already on my ratchet. And then kind of back here where it's got these arrows, it just, you lift up and you slide it this way. It's got those two things. Yep, they slide in right there. We're going to remove the air filter housing, which you're just going to unplug anything plugged onto it. We'll pop those up with a little trim tool. You can use a little flathead if you don't have a trim tool. Vent hose or breather hose here. It's got, you just push this in and then wiggle and pull back. Should be 8 millimeter there, or flathead. And then just like you're checking your air filter, take those off, and then we'll lift this whole piece out. Don't forget to take these two 10 millimeters off as well that hold the breather tube down. And of course, if you have air compressor, it's a good idea to blow all this stuff. Blow it off before you pull the intake. You'll probably do this a couple times. That way, you don't get a bunch of crap down in your motor. We're just going to go around and unplug things, take hoses off, like that one over there. Again, that's like the gray one that you squeeze. Here's the purge right here, part of the evap. I've got it unplugged. It just slides on that. It does have the same style quick disconnect, but it's got a little lock on it, which just spread it and push it back. It may come all the way out, it may not, and then you just, as before, all right, we'll take it all the way out so you can see. Just set that up there for now, right? And you'll take a little on this one. Instead of like these, you squeezed it in. Once you pull that red lock out, take your little pick, little flathead, and just push in on that end. Same thing on the bottom, can't see, and it just slides back like so, and you can just wiggle and pull it off, and voila. And we can probably just leave this technically attached to the intake, the purge anyhow. And we'll push this back in so we don't lose it. And yeah, we'll just go around and finish unplugging anything that's on it, and then we'll start working on the bolts. And it looks like we've got pretty much everything at least loose, unplugged. Of course, we're going to be pulling the upper plenum first, so the upper intake, which essentially is this top part, and then your lower is down there. Of course, that makes sense. But do have the EGR right here. I'm going to take these two bolts out here and here for the pipe to at least separate that, and then I'll leave all this attached to the upper. But we also have, which I don't know, let me see. Here's a sunshine. We love sunshine, but right now it's a glaring. Anyhow, there's a 10mm stud down there, and then there's one right there. Those are kind of supports from the plenum on this side, which is below the expansion and the EGR. That just helps support it because it hangs over here. So we're going to pull those out right now. Takes a little bit of convincing, but there's the upper plenum. It did sit right there. So this bracket is the one with the two studs set through there, and has 10mm nuts that you just got to go under there, which I used, you know, an extension like that and a wobble. A wobble will be your friend. And they essentially sit again on the side. There's the two studs sticking out the side. The EGR pipe goes right here, which that was two 10mm bolts as well, which is still right here. Okay, but once you get all the bolts loose in the middle for the plenum, kind of sneak a pry bar right here and kind of push a little bit on this bracket to allow the intake to go that way and that way. So little persuasion goes a long way. Of course, even though we're pulling that off, we still don't need any foreign crap, dirt, bugs, bolts, whatever flying down there. So take paper towels, newspaper, napkins, towels, stick it in there, and then again I'm going to take the blower with some compressed air and I'm going to blow again to try and assist get any of this extra dirt and debris out of there before we pull that up. And there's the lower intake. Really the only thing special about this is you got the one little clip that holds the fuel line on. Super simple. These little I used an 8mm wobble, which it was a little big, so I imagine it's not technically 8mm, and they probably want you to use the Torx bit, but it works. We've got, you have to unplug all the injectors, of course, and they have these red locking tabs on them. You just pop those up, and just like any other clip, you press it and unplug it. And back here, those wires, those little push pins, were pushed into the back of the intake, which you pop those off, and once you loosen them all up, it slides right out. As you can see, I did put paper towels in the openings of the head already, and let's see, that what you're staring at is the cooler, and you can see all the oil sitting down there, and that is the back wall of the engine, where you can kind of see when it fills up, sitting on incline, it just pours over the back. So, and it is the base here of the oil filter stand. It's all one assembly. So we'll get the coolant hose down there off, unplug the sensor, and then we will commence to pulling out the cooler. And there you have it. It is removed, which I don't have anything to hold the camera, so you don't get to watch. I apologize, but there is a coolant hose again that's back there, which I have my hose clamp pliers that go down there and they're holding on to it. Left it attached to the cooler, and then you had 5 E8 inverted Torx. So here it is. There's 3 on the filter housing, essentially 1, 2, I tip it over, and 3 over there, and then there's 2 on the end. There's a whole bunch of bolts you'll see, but you don't need them. and this is the bottom. Essentially, you have these O-rings, and there's one around this. This is out of the bottom of the oil filter for coolant and engine oil, and the housing itself will start to separate and crack. Then also these O-rings down here, they just go to leaking. So the new one we got, which I'm not usually a fan of Dorman parts, but it is a complete metal housing. Cooler, you still have to assemble it, new seals and stuff, and a filter. Comes with everything essentially, but the whole housing is aluminum instead of plastic to prevent from having the issue happen again in the future. So we're going to get this assembled and then get it put on the car. Okay, so we got the new one assembled, aside from the oil filter, which I got that here, and a new cap. Well, kinda cap down. Let me grab that. It's bright orange, but it also does give you different part numbers for the filters and stuff, but they're all going to work for this year model because, well, this is an older one. That, I believe, is for anything older than 15 this goes on. The newer ones should be the same, but regardless, got a bright orange cap saying, hey, stop and read this, and it does have stuff on there. So if it goes other places for oil changes and for whatever reason the original filter setup was different, they should have the information needed to make sure they put the right one in here. Doesn't necessarily mean that people know how to read and or follow directions, instructions, whatever the case may be. Anyhow, so I spent a little bit of time, which you can't see again because the sun, great sun, cleaning everything out down there, getting all the oil, coolant stuff blowed out. I do have a fluid evacuator. I used that mixed with my air wand, a little bit of brake parts cleaner. So we're going back together. It had new bolts and everything. So again, E8 is the socket for those down there, which is inverted Torx. Got all the O-rings put on it, and now we're going to clean up the head surface right there for the lower intake. We're going to start reassembling what we've already took off. Again, the reverse procedure of what I just did coming apart. Wow, look at that. What a mess. Yep. If I had as much of this up here, maybe it would be better. Anyhow, another story.